The private dining room is 40 feet away. Jamin Park does not slow down. He moves through the noise of the restaurant the way men move when rooms have always rearranged themselves around them. Steady, certain, unhurried. The charcoal suit is custom. The watch is a statement. Two bodyguards trail him at a distance, so practiced it looks like coincidence. He is 12 feet from the door when the voice stops him cold. "Sir, you are embarrassing yourself in public. Lower your voice, or I walk you to the exit." Not raised, not rushed. Level, the kind of level that shuts a room down faster than yelling ever could. He stops. Hi viewers, have you ever been in a crowded room when one person said exactly the right thing and changed the entire energy? Drop a yes or no in the comments right now. He should keep moving. The private dining room holds the evening his mother built, an approved woman at a white cloth table, a dinner designed to look like freedom when it is really a summons. His feet decide otherwise. He turns. A black waitress stands at table 7, chin up, hands loose at her sides. Her apron carries the wrinkles of a shift that started hours before he arrived. A man in a designer blazer is pressing into the space of a younger server, red-faced, too loud, the kind of man who mistakes his account balance for authority over other people. She does not flinch. She does not soften what she already said. She stands there and waits, like she already decided how this ends, and is simply giving him time to arrive at the same conclusion. The man blinks first. The whole room exhales around him. She turns back to her section without a single glance to check who saw it. Jamin saw all of it. One beat later, she glances up. Their eyes meet. She looks away first, not because anything rattled her, but because she has 4 other tables and not 1 second to spare. Jamin keeps walking, not toward the private dining room. Comment walk if you think he should go back to his date. Comment stay if you think this night just changed his life forever. He finds her at the service station near the east wall. She is sorting checks, pen moving fast, not looking up. "You work this section?" he asks. "I do. That was handled well back there." "Thank you." She closes the folder without slowing. "Do you need a table, sir?" "I have one." "Then you should be at it." She says it the way you say something obvious, not hostile, just efficient, the way a person speaks when their time is already fully spoken for. Jamin Park, who has not been directed anywhere by someone he did not employ in longer than he can calculate, stands in her section and finds he cannot move. "You were not afraid of him," he says. She looks up, not the way people look at him. No small flicker of recognition at the suit, no recalibration when they clock the watch, no gentle adjustment around the eyes to make room for a name they think they should know. She looks at him the same way she would look at any person standing in her aisle, like a question she has not yet decided is worth the breath. "He was drunk and loud," she says. "That is not scary. That is just inconvenient." Something moves in his chest. He has no name for it yet, and that fact alone is unusual. "I am Jamin." She picks up her tray. "Good for you." "And you are." She is already turning. Then she stops, one deliberate beat, a pause that is small enough to miss and too heavy to ignore. Across the room, his date sets her water glass down hard enough for the sound to travel through the noise. Jamin does not look. He watches the woman in front of him, the one still deciding whether he has earned one more word of her time. She shifts the tray to her other arm, looks at him once, flat and clean, and already done with this conversation. "Zuri," she says. No last name. No smile attached to soften it. She gives it the same way you end a call with someone who waited too long to say the thing they actually called about. Jamin stands there holding the name. Down the hall, his date rises from the candlelit table and places her napkin on the chair. He does not see her. He cannot stop thinking about one word, and the way it hit him like a door closing on everything he walked into this restaurant expecting. If you were in Zuri's position, would you have given him your name? Comment yes or no and tell me why. The dinner rush hits its peak at 9, and Zuri Bell does not slow down for it. She moves through the floor the way she has trained herself to move. Economy first, speed second, presence always. No wasted steps. No wasted words. Her feet carry the specific ache of 7 hours, and she manages this the way she manages most discomforts. by running the numbers in her head. 3 more hours. $40 more in tips if the back section holds. The cafe account sits at $62,000. She needs 110. That number lives inside her like a compass she built from scratch. No borrowed money. No investor with opinions. No agreement that could one day be rewritten by someone else's hand. Her late grandmother used to say, "Own one thing clean in your life, and the rest cannot swallow you whole." Zuri has carried that sentence through every city, every shift, every moment someone tried to tell her what her time was worth. She is wiping down a table near the window when Kezia materializes at her shoulder. Kezia is her closest friend on staff, small in build, enormous in perception, and never wrong about things she claims to have not been paying attention to. "He is still here," Kezia says, studying nothing in particular. Zuri does not ask who. He is a guest. He is a guest who has not touched his dinner, has not returned to his table in over 20 minutes, and has been watching your section since you cleared table 9. Kezia sets a clean glass on the tray without breaking stride. That is not dinner behavior. That is a project. I do not take on projects. That is my entire concern. Kezia's voice drops one register, and that is the signal Zuri has learned to receive seriously. The ones you have no time for always find a way to take yours anyway. Be careful with this one. Zuri nods. She means it. She picks up 2 full plates, crosses to table 11, and delivers the food with the composure of a woman who has decided nothing happening on the other side of this room has any claim on her evening. Then she hears it, the clean, deliberate sound of a plate sliding back across white linen. She finishes the delivery, checks in with the table, takes her time. Then she looks. The private dining room door stands open. The candlelit table inside holds one full, untouched dinner. The woman who was seated at that table is still there, alone, still, her posture carrying the particular stillness of someone who just realized they were never the point of this evening. Jamin Park is gone, not just from the table, from the entire room. He sent back a dinner that cost $400 and walked out of an evening his mother arranged. And Zuri felt the shift in the air before she ever looked up to confirm it. Her hand tightens on the empty tray. She has a cafe to save for. She does not have time for this. If you were Zuri, would you stay focused on the dream or let curiosity win? Comment dream or curious below. He comes back the next evening. No date. No explanation he offers out loud. He has a reason prepared. A conversation with the floor manager about event arrangements for a private booking. The kind of business that almost requires his presence and more accurately does not. Zuri clocks him the second he steps off the elevator. She gives him 2 seconds of eye contact. Then she looks through him like a window at weather that is not her problem. He takes a seat at the bar. She is not his bartender. By 9 o'clock, she has caught him watching her section 4 separate times. Each time she gives him exactly what she gives every guest. The same clean professionalism. The same precise attention, not 1 degree warmer and not 1 degree cooler. No acknowledgement that he came back. No shift in her posture to let him know she noticed. It does not discourage him. It makes everything worse for him, and she can feel it, and she keeps moving anyway. Her last name. The voice arrives low and close. Jamin turns. Hansu stands at his shoulder, his family's longest-serving logistics advisor. A man whose face carries the specific flatness of someone who reaches conclusions before he finishes sentences. He sets a glass of water down without looking at it. Bell, Hansu says. He lets the word sit. There was a Bell family. Georgia. A restaurant property, a dispute, a transaction. 12, maybe 13 years ago. He pauses for exactly 1 beat too long. Your mother may remember the details. Jamin is very still. I could be misremembering, Hansu adds. He does not look like a man who misremembers. He walks away. Jamin stays at the bar. He runs the name backward through everything he has inherited, acquisitions, closed accounts, property transfers that looked cleaner on the documents than they were in the rooms where the decisions were made. Across the floor, Zuri refills a water glass at table 9. She carries herself like this room owes her absolutely nothing. And she made peace with that before she ever arrived. And for the first time since he walked into this restaurant 2 nights ago, Jaemin feels something that has nothing to do with how she looks or how she handles herself under pressure. It is heavier than that. It is the weight of a man beginning to understand that the woman he keeps coming back to look at may be standing in the exact shadow of something his family helped create a long time ago. He does not have a drink all night. He stays until closing. If Jaemin's family really had a connection to Zuri's past, should he tell her the truth or protect her from it? Comment tell her or protect her below. 3 nights later, she speaks to him first. Not because she has changed her mind about anything. Because it is her section and she is a professional, and he is at table 12 with an untouched glass of water and a menu he has not opened, sitting across from an empty chair like a man who decided stillness was a form of patience worth testing. She approaches the table. "You are going to need to order something," she says, "or give the table to someone who will actually use it. What do you recommend?" "That you get to the point." He looks up, and the thing that crosses his face is not what she prepared for. Not offense. Not the cool remove of a man accustomed to getting his way. Something closer to relief, like a room that has been waiting for a window to open. "The duck," he says simply. "I will have the duck." She writes it. She does not add anything. "You have been here 14 months, he says. Her pen stops on the pad. 14 months and 3 weeks. She does not know why she corrected the number. She notices that she did. "You came from Atlanta," he continues. "Left a restaurant position there. It was not voluntary." The notepad is very still in her hand. "Old habit," he says, quietly, not as an apology, as a fact. "I run background research. I found enough to know that leaving was not your choice, and enough to understand what it cost you." He holds her eyes. "I also know that most people would not still be standing the way you are standing right now." The foretop beside them erupts in laughter. The sound fills the space between them and makes the silence underneath it louder. "You do not know me," Zuri says. "No," he agrees. Flat. No flinch. "But I recognize what it looks like when someone is building their way back from something they never should have lost in the first place." She studies him. There is a version of this moment where she sets down the notepad and walks away. The smarter version, the version Kezia would vote for. But there is nothing in his face that is performing anything. No calculation behind the words. He looks exactly like what he sounds like, a man surprised by something he cannot get ahead of. She almost smiles. She catches it before it forms and pulls it back behind her eyes. "The duck takes 20 minutes, she says. "I know." She turns toward the kitchen. His phone lights up on the table as she passes, screen facing up. One word in the contact bar. "Iyama," the Korean word for mother. Zuri does not break her stride, but she saw it. And the look on his face when he noticed her notice. That is the thing she cannot stop thinking about for the rest of the shift. Do you think Jaemin's mother is about to become the biggest obstacle in this story? Comment yes, she will, or he will handle it below. And stay close, because the next is where everything between them changes. It is 11:47 when the last table clears. The side exit swings open and the cold Manhattan air hits Zuri Bell before she finishes tying her bag straps. She almost walks straight into him. Jaemin Park is standing against the wall outside. Jacket folded over one arm. No bodyguards. No phone in hand. He is looking at the street the way a man looks at something he has not decided yet. He doesn't turn when the door opens. "You didn't have to wait," she says. "I know." She could walk past him. The night makes that choice loud and obvious. There is a cab at the corner. There is warm distance in every direction. Instead, she leans against the wall beside him because her feet ache and the wall is solid, and sometimes a solid wall is all a long shift needs. The air between them holds for a moment. "My grandmother ran a food operation in Macon," Zuri says. She doesn't plan it. It arrives the way honest things do when the body is too tired to keep them behind the teeth. Not a formal restaurant. A building with mismatched chairs and a kitchen that smelled like cinnamon and garlic at the same time, all day, every day. She ran it for 22 years on her own terms. Didn't answer to a single person who didn't earn her yes. Jaemin is quiet. He doesn't reach for his phone, doesn't look for a place to put his hands. He stands still and receives every word she gives him, and she takes that as permission to give more. She used to say, Own one thing clean in your life, and the rest cannot swallow you whole. Zuri exhales. The breath fogs in the cold air and disappears. I watched her build that place from almost nothing. Then I watched other people decide one morning that what she built was worth less than what they wanted for it. What happened to it, he asks. Gone. Sold in conditions she didn't fully understand and was too proud to fight in front of her children. A pause, clean and steady. She died thinking she had failed something. She hadn't. The system around her failed. There is a difference between those two things, and it took me years to separate them. Jamin turns to look at her. Not cataloging. Not performing interest. Listening. The real kind, where the body goes quiet and the eyes stay on yours like nothing else in the city is competing for them. I'm going to open a cafe in Atlanta, she says. My name on the deed. No partners. No investors. No one who can one morning decide that what I built is theirs to redefine. He is quiet a long time. How close, he asks. Closer than I was. Not close enough to stop. He nods slowly. My father built things too, he says. It comes out careful, like a man moving weight from one hand to the other. He was proud of what he made. Then he got sick, and the people around him rebuilt everything in his image and called it respect. He stops. It was not respect. She looks at him. He does not reach for more words. That restraint is the most honest thing she has seen from him since he walked into her section. Why are you still in New York? He asks. She pulls her coat tighter at the collar. My lease ends in 4 months. After that dash, she stops. After that, he presses. Softly. After that, I either go home with enough, or I go home and start the count over from a lower number. He looks at her like that sentence just rearranged something in his understanding of why he keeps coming back to a restaurant he does not need to visit. Neither of them moves. The city continues around them, loud and indifferent, and completely unaware that something real just happened against a cold wall outside a side exit on a Tuesday night. Comment believe him if you think Jamin is the real thing. Comment not yet if you think Zuri is right to stay guarded. 4 months is not a long time. Jamin knows this the way he knows most things. Logically, cleanly, from a safe distance. Logic has always been the room he retreats to when feelings arrive faster than plans. This time, the logic shows up late. He starts tracking timelines that belong to someone else. Cafe listings in Atlanta's Old Fourth Ward. Commercial lease averages. Permit timelines. He runs the numbers with the same focus he gives to his family's acquisitions, except those numbers never made his jaw tight the way these do. And then, because he is a man trained from childhood to solve problems by moving resources, he starts building a solution. This is the moment he makes the first real mistake. He meets her at the hotel bar on a Thursday. Late. Off-peak. She is still in her work clothes, sitting across from him with her bag on the chair beside her like a quiet boundary already drawn. She is tired in the way that belongs to people building things with their actual hands. Not defeated, just fully used. He orders nothing. He leans forward. I know people in Atlanta, he says. Real estate connections. Private financing contacts. People who can compress a timeline by months. He keeps his voice even. Measured. I can make one call. Nothing public. Nothing that touches you directly. Just a door that opens a little ahead of schedule. She goes very still. Not the stillness of consideration. The stillness of recognition. Stop, she says. One word. No decoration. He stops. She looks at him with the expression of a woman who has been seated across from this exact conversation before. Not from him specifically, but from the version of him that travels in different suits and arrives with solutions already packaged and labeled with her name on them. You are doing the thing, she says. What thing? The thing where a man walks into a room with a checkbook and a problem and cannot tell the difference between the two. Her voice is level, not cruel. That makes it land harder. I am not a problem to be solved, Jamin. His name in her mouth sounds like a challenge she has been sitting on all evening. I was not trying to dash. You were not thinking about what I was trying, she says. You were thinking about what you could do. There is a lot of space between those two things. He sits with that. The bar noise surrounds them. Jazz from a speaker neither of them asked for. This cannot work, she says quietly. She does not say it with anger. She says it the way you close a window before a storm, not because you want to, but because you understand the cost of leaving it open. She means it. He does not argue. That surprises her more than any word he could have spoken. Do you think Jamin's instinct to fix everything with money is something he can actually change? Comment yes he can, or that is who he is below. She says it plainly. I like you. No pause. No softening entrance. I think you are more honest than the life around you wants you to be. But I know what it costs a woman in my position to be seen by a man in yours. That cost does not disappear because you did not intend it. He does not argue. She expected him to. Every man in her memory argued at this point. Restructured the pitch, came around the same door through a different angle, repackaged the original pressure in language that asked less and assumed more. Jamin sits with what she said. His face does not perform anything. Something in it simply adjusts, the way a foundation settles under new weight, slow and irreversible, quiet enough that you only notice it after. You are right, he says. She blinks. About the distance, he says. Between what I wanted to do and what you needed. You are right. She has no prepared response for that sentence. She sits with the unusual quiet of a conversation that arrived somewhere true without either of them planning the route. I still think you should have more time, he says. I am going to have exactly the time I build. He nods once. No pushback. Then, because he cannot fully separate himself from who he was built to be, he reaches into his jacket. A folded card. A single name handwritten on the back. A property contact in Atlanta's Old Fourth Ward who carries a long-standing debt to the Park family that Jamin has decided to collect in a different currency entirely. No money, he says, setting it between them on the table. No conditions attached. Just a name. Use it or don't. She stares at the card. This is still you solving it, she says. I know. He stands and lifts his coat from the chair. It is the smallest version of that instinct I know how to manage right now. He meets her eyes without flinching. I am trying. He does not wait for her response. He picks up his coat and walks toward the lobby. For the first time, she watches him leave a room and feels the room contract behind him. She picks up the card. She does not throw it away. She does not call the number. Not yet. If you were Zuri, would you keep that card or leave it on the table? Comment keep IT or leave IT and tell the community what you would do. She goes home that night and sits on her kitchen floor. Not the couch. The floor, cold tile, back against the cabinet. Because Zuri Bell has done her clearest thinking on kitchen floors since she was 9 years old, and the tile has never once lied to her. She stares at the card. It does not look like money. That is what worries her. 2 days pass. She works her shifts. She does not call the number. She does not throw the card away either. It sits on her counter between a jar of dried hibiscus and a lease renewal she has not signed. Then Kezia calls on a Wednesday morning. He came back. Kezia says, no greeting. Asked the floor manager what time your next shift started. Formally. Carefully. Like a man who has never once in his life had to ask for anything and is only now learning how the process actually works. Zuri presses her palm flat against the cold counter. What did the manager say? That you were in that evening. And he didn't come in, Kezia says. He stood outside the entrance for a while. Then he walked away. That information cost Zuri more than she expected it to. She is still sitting with it when an unknown number calls 40 minutes later. The voice on the line is measured and deliberate. A man choosing every syllable the way you choose steps on uncertain ground. Miss Bell, he says. My name is Hansu. I believe you may already be aware that your family's restaurant in Georgia did not close simply because of hard times. Her grip on the phone tightens. The property was acquired through a third party in 2012, he continues. That intermediary had a direct relationship with the Park family's investment arm. The debt your father carried going into that period was restructured without his knowledge. The terms were adjusted after the original agreement was signed. The acquisition was clean on paper. He pauses. It was not clean. Zuri does not speak. Someone asked me to find out whether what he suspected was true, Hansu says. Finding out changed what he intended to do about it. He does not know I am calling, but he has been sitting with those documents for 2 days. He has not slept well. The call ends. Zuri stays on the kitchen floor for a long time. The cafe account. Her grandmother's voice. The card on the counter. Her father's face the year he lost the restaurant and spent 3 months not knowing where to put his hands. The man who kept coming back to her section is connected, by name, by family, by years of machinery she never saw the inside of, to the exact thing that took what her family built. She is furious. And she is something else she does not have a clean word for. Sitting alone in a Manhattan kitchen, understanding that her loss and his guilt were shaped by the same blueprint. She picks up her phone. She does not call Jamin. She calls her father. And what her father tells her in the next 10 minutes changes everything she thought she already knew about the night they lost everything. Subscribe to this channel right now and turn on every notification, because 10 is this entire story was built toward, and you do not want to find out what happens next from someone else's comment section. There is a board meeting on the 14th floor of the Park Group's Manhattan offices on a Tuesday morning. Jamin does not sit down when he enters. His mother sits at the head of the table, where she always sits, because controlling the head of a room is how she has managed every room for 30 years. 3 senior advisors hold their folders like shields. Everyone in this room has been paid, at some point, to confirm her conclusions. Jamin sets 3 documents on the table. No preamble, no seat, no apology. The first is a property restitution record. The second is a financial calculation covering 11 years of lost commercial value from the Bell family's restaurant, built by his own family's accountants, which leaves no room for argument. The third is a letter on Park Group letterhead, signed in his name, acknowledging the irregular acquisition of the Bell property in 2012 and committing to a full legal correction. No intermediary, no sealed agreement. No clause written to protect the family's name at someone else's expense. His mother reads the first page. Her face does not move. This will cost us, she says. It already costs someone else more, he says. She is a waitress. She is the woman I am choosing. The room holds that sentence. Nobody breathes into it. You will lose the Shin family arrangement, his mother says. Yes. The third quarter partnership. Yes. You will lose Dash. I know what I am losing. He meets her eyes and holds them. I also know what this family already took from someone who never got to see it returned. I am going to fix that first. Everything else gets handled after. He does not wait for a response. He does not need one. He finds Zuri at the end of her shift, outside the same side exit, against the same wall where they first stood in the cold and said true things to each other without planning to. He hands her the letter. She reads it under the exit light, both hands around the paper. He watches her face move through something private and layered that belongs entirely to her, and he does not try to name it, guide it, or fill the silence around it with anything that would make it easier for him. This does not give my father back the years, she says. No, it does not fix what those years cost him. No, he says. It doesn't. She holds the letter against her chest with both hands. You didn't have to do this, she says. Yes, I did. Simply, no performance around it. Not because of you. Because it was the right thing, and I was the person in the position to do it. He pauses. You are not the reason I did this. You are the reason I finally stopped finding reasons not to. She looks at him for a long time. She does not say yes immediately. That is not who she is, and he understands that now. Understands it the way you understand something you did not learn from a book, but from standing still long enough to let it teach you. I am going home to Atlanta in 4 months, she says. I know. I am opening the cafe. I know. My name will be on the deed. Only yours, he says. That was always going to be only yours. Something in her face, quietly and finally, lets him in. 14 months later, on a Tuesday morning in October, Zuri Bell's Cafe opens in Atlanta's Old Fourth Ward. The sign above the door is small and black, painted in letters she chose and brushed herself. The yam porridge is on the menu every single day because her grandmother made it that way, and that is reason enough. The coffee is strong. The music is low. The rules belong entirely to her. On the shelf near the window, beside a jar of dried hibiscus and a small plant she has refused to let die, sits a postcard from Manhattan. No message on the back. Just a name written in handwriting that belongs to a man still learning that fewer words can carry more weight when you mean every single one of them. She goes back behind the counter. She has a cafe to run. She owns it clean. If this story moved you, if Zuri's strength, her refusal to be bought or broken, spoke to something true in your own life, drop a comment below and share what it meant to you. Your words in that comment section might be exactly what a stranger needs to read today. Stories like this stay alive because people like you show up, listen, and pass them on. Subscribe to this channel right now. Turn on every notification so you never miss a story built to move you. And share this with one person in your life who needs to hear it. Every comment, every share, every new subscriber is how the next story gets told. And we are just getting started.